The beef between 50 Cent and Jim Jones just went to a whole different level, and it's getting messy fast. After Jones threw shots at 50's documentary, 50 didn't stay quiet.
Anymore. Fifth is the only I know that when you cross him, if it takes 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 2.5 years, he still delivers. He doesn't give a.
He fired back by exposing alleged unpaid rent and even dropped footage of Jones forcing his way into his own studio. And then things got even more heated. Jones pulled up to his Bronx studio on February 19th, 2026, expecting business as usual. But nah, everything was shut down. Lights off, locks switched, key completely useless. That's when the situation flipped. He decided to handle it himself and kicked the door in.
Conan, my audience doesn't understand the difference between Chapter 11 and Chapter 7.
Yeah.
When you file Chapter 11, you just really reorganize.
You're reorganizing your business.
Just hours later, about 7 to be exact, 50 Cent had that footage posted on Instagram for everybody to see. The video was crystal clear too. Security cam angle, tight hallway, everything caught on tape. You can hear someone say, "The lights got cut," and then Jim Jones walks right into frame. He steps up to the locked studio door and starts going at it with his foot. No hesitation. The first door didn't move at all, but he didn't stop. He kept swinging until he moved to a second door, and this time he blasted it clean off the hinges, walked straight through like nothing with 2 guys right behind him.
50 has said he's gonna beat y'all up. I ain't say it. Says it right here. He posted your landlord. Yo, 50's great.
The whole moment didn't even last a minute, but the internet went crazy. By the time people woke up and checked their phones, the clip was already everywhere. And 50 didn't just post the footage, he came with receipts too. He uploaded what looked like official paperwork, a lease termination notice. The document was addressed to Joseph Jones, which is Jim Jones's real name, along with IFC Management, LLC. And it wasn't just one warning either. There were 2 default notices, both already expired with no room left to fix anything.
Now, 50 also posts the company that says they did put a notice that Jim Jones was evicted. And the eviction notice actually says this. It's from IFC Management LLC to Joseph Jones.
According to those documents, a 15-day default notice was issued on January 5th, 2026 and expired January 22nd. No response. Then a final 5-day termination notice dropped on February 10th, expiring February 17th. And still nothing came from Jones's side.
We've been seeing a lot of 50 Cent handed towards Jim Jones having some issues when it comes to the landlord of this property.
Jones pulled up with his crew just 2 days after that final deadline, February 19th. And what he found was straight cold. Locked doors everywhere. No lights, no power. The whole place looked dead. This wasn't just any spot either. The building was called the IFC Factory, Intellectual Factory of Content. Jones had just signed that lease back in December 2025, and he was talking big about it. Plans for a full setup, soundstage, gym, barbershop, even a bodega inside. He was pitching it like the next major content hub for the Let's Rap About It podcast with Milo Face and Dave East. But then 50 Cent stepped in and flipped the whole energy.
He posted a video, and I want you guys to take notice of the date.
When he posted that surveillance footage, his caption said it all. Damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know. Let's rap about it. LOL. That right there wasn't anger. That was straight trolling with a smile. You could tell exactly where 50's head was at. No threats, no yelling, just sitting back watching everything unfold and laughing at it like it was entertainment. And that's what made this situation hit different. That footage didn't just show a man locked out. It completely crushed the image Jones had been building.
You heard Jim? Because he don't like that. He said, "What are you talking about?"
Because I told him to supposed to, you heard Jim? Huh? He cut the lights off.
Because before all this, Jones was online showing progress, posting construction clips, hyping up the gym, the shop, the whole vision. He was selling it heavy, like he was building something major for the culture. Boss moves, big energy, full control. But now, that same building was pitch black on camera, and he's stuck in a hallway kicking doors like he's trying to force his way back inside. That contrast hit hard, and 50 knew exactly what he was doing when he posted that clip. This wasn't just about embarrassing Jones for getting locked out. This was about tearing down the whole persona attached to that space. Every post, every update, every "I'm building something big" moment tied to the IFC factory suddenly flipped into a joke. The building he was supposed to represent became the building he couldn't even enter anymore. But here's the twist. That lockout wasn't where this started. That was actually the final move.
Jim has kicked the door off the hinges. Jim, I'm with you. What he's saying. You ain't skipped no leg day. This door was just unpenetrable. This first.
To really understand how things got this bad, how it ended with doors getting kicked in the dark, you gotta go back to December, to one podcast episode where things started getting slick. And that's where everything really began. December 20 to 25. That's where this whole situation really started heating up. The Let's Rap About It crew was sitting inside the IFC factory, talking crazy about 50 Cent's Netflix docuseries like it was nothing. They called it a mockumentary, laughed at the tone, questioned the quality, basically tried to clown the whole project on camera. And from the outside, it looked like just another podcast moment. 4 guys giving opinions, talking. Slick. The kind of clip that usually comes and goes in a few days.
Jimmy, Jim, what is this? Jim. Oh, no. Yo, the memes about Jim missing leg day.
But this wasn't just any random show they were talking about. 50 Cent was the executive producer behind that docuseries. His name, his brand, his work all over it. And these guys chose to sit in a building they were barely holding on to and roast it like it was a joke. Now here's where it gets calculated. 50 didn't jump on live, didn't argue, didn't drop a diss track. Nah, he moved different. He went digging and came back with receipts. He hit Instagram and dropped audio from a phone call with the building's landlord, a guy he referred to as Sam. And on that recording, you could hear frustration clear as day about unpaid rent tied directly to that IFC factory lease. Then 50 added fuel with the caption, calling the whole crew squatters, and basically putting their situation on blast for the entire internet to see. And the numbers he started throwing out? They weren't small at all.
So 50 kind of hit them with a jab. You notice their tone changed when 50 said, y'all owe $250,000 in rent. They try to play it off.
Posts were mentioning alleged debts anywhere from $80,000 to $180,000, and then later climbing even higher, close to $250,000 for the full space. That's when things got even more strategic. 50 started hinting at a bigger play, talking about possibly buying the entire building and even taking 50% ownership of the podcast itself. Meanwhile, the crew tried to stay calm in public. They pushed back, saying the numbers weren't that serious, claiming everything was under control. But then came a moment that had everyone watching close. 50 posted that Jim Jones had allegedly wired $200,000 to cover the situation. His caption said it all. So Jim wired the $200K over. Okay, cool. He may turn out to be a good tenant after all. Samuel, if you need me to make them pay, just give me a ring. I'm here. That didn't look like peace. That looked like pressure. And even after that payment moment, it didn't stop.
But 50 came back and said, yo, I got them to pay that money to the man. The man even offered me part of their podcast.
50 stayed on it and dropped even more footage, this time showing the studio going completely dark mid-session. You see the whole crew on camera, phones out, flashlights on, confused, trying to figure out what just happened while they were recording. That wasn't random. That felt deliberate. It looked like a message, like 50 was showing everyone that he had influence inside that building and that the podcast's whole setup could get shut down at any moment. At that point, it wasn't just internet jokes anymore. This had turned into a power move playing out in real time. That power outage footage hit way harder than any rent accusations ever could. Numbers can be debated. People can argue totals, but you can't argue with straight video evidence. When that landlord audio dropped, Jones and the crew still had room to push back. They could say the numbers were off, claim things were exaggerated. But once that clip surfaced of them standing in pure darkness, using iPhone flashlights just to see each other, yeah, there was no spinning. That moment didn't just embarrass them. It exposed everything. It made the whole operation look shaky, like they were running a setup they didn't fully control. And right after that, everything went quiet. The podcast completely froze. 3 full weeks. Not a single episode, no uploads, no updates, just silence from a crew that had been loud all over the internet.
So 50 Cent claims Jim Jones sent in $200,000, which I'm impressed. I didn't know Jim Jones had $200K. After accusing the podcast crew of being squatters and owing $250,000 in back rent.
And that silence said more than anything 50 Cent could have posted. Because podcasts don't survive like that. They run on consistency. Fans expect episodes to drop on schedule, just like a TV show. So when week 1 passed, then week 2, then week 3 with nothing, people already knew what was going on. Nobody needed an explanation. The same crew that was talking the most online suddenly couldn't even drop content. That pressure? It worked without 50 ever stepping into the room. Then February 17th hit. Termination notice expired. 48 hours later, lights gone, locks changed, and now Jim Jones is literally in the hallway kicking doors trying to get back inside. But here's the real question behind all this. How did 50 Cent even get this level of control? How does someone with no direct tie to a Bronx lease end up with this much influence over what happens inside that building? The answer goes way back, all the way to 2007. Because if you strip away the footage, the paperwork, the landlord audio, you start seeing a pattern. The same strategy, the same calculated moves. Back in 2007, 50 Cent was deep in a real New York rap war with Cameron. It all sparked when 50 went on Hot 97 with Angie Martinez and called Coke Records, the label backing Cameron and Dipset, a graveyard for washed-up artists. That lit everything up. Cameron fired back, diss records started flying, and the whole city was locked in. But right in the middle of all that chaos, 50 didn't just rely on music. He made moves behind the scenes. Chess moves. First play? He brought Jim Jones onto BT's Rap City while he was co-hosting. And right there on camera, sitting next to G-Unit, Jones said G-Unit was one of the few movements that I do respect. Think about that. While Cameron was going at 50, his own guy was on TV showing respect to the other side. Second move, even more wild. 50 Cent pulled Jim Jones and Juelz Santana out as surprise guests during a live show in New York. No warning, no build-up, just dropped them right into the moment. And just like that, 50 wasn't just battling on tracks. He was moving pieces around people in real life. Both men hit that stage with G-Unit in front of a packed crowd, and inside Dipset, that move was seen as straight betrayal. Years later, Cameron actually sat down with 50 Cent on the Talk with Flea YouTube show and broke it all down. He said Dipset was already cracking behind the scenes, internal issues nobody outside even knew about. So when Jim Jones and Juelz Santana jumped on stage with the opposition, it didn't just look bad, it sped everything up. Cam called it a checkmate move and admitted he had to respect how calculated and ruthless it was, even while taking the loss. And 50 didn't even hide it. He confirmed it was all planned, straight art of war tactics. The goal? Split Dipset from the inside by pulling key members closer while the group was already unstable. Even DJ Academics summed it up perfectly. 2007 and 2026, same strategy, same mindset, same patience. Just different tools. Back then, the weapon was a stage appearance and a BT cosign. Now, the weapon turned into business pressure. A landlord named Sam, and a lease situation that flipped everything upside down. And looking back at 2007 reveals something deeper. Jim Jones has always been put in these positions where loyalty gets questioned. He was the one sitting with G-Unit on beat. He was the one on stage with the other side. Not Cam, not Santana, Jones. And that history matters heavy today. Because every time 50 applies pressure publicly, those old moments are already there. Jones can't fully lean on loyalty as a defense when there's footage showing him moving differently when things got tense. And 50 knows that, and uses it every time. This pattern didn't stop in 2007 either. It runs through his whole career. Even in moments where it looked like 50 was losing, he was still playing a bigger game. Take 2015, for example. He was facing a $17 million arbitration situation with Sleek Audio and another $5 million judgment tied to Lestonia Leviston. At the same time, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And blogs immediately tried to paint it like a downfall. But that wasn't the full picture. Chapter 11 isn't the end, it's a reset. He structured a payment plan of around $23 million over 5 years and came out still standing. And while all that was happening, he was on Instagram posting stacks of cash like nothing changed. People thought he was trolling the court, but he later explained it clearly during an interview on Conan. He moved through that situation without slowing down at all. And by 2026, he's operating on a completely different level. He secured a $124 million commitment to build a massive film and entertainment complex in Shreveport, backed by his own assets. And that right there shows the bigger picture. While he's posting clips about Jim Jones and exposing situations online, mentally, he's not stuck in that Bronx drama. This was never really about real estate like that. This was a setup. A calculated move to trap Jim Jones in a position where there was no clean way out without taking a public loss. The building became the cage, and 50 Cent was the one holding the key. What made it even crazier is how the whole ownership angle flipped the pressure instantly. Before that Sam photo dropped, this situation was just a regular landlord dispute, something that usually gets handled quietly in court. But the second 50 posted that image and basically said, "I own this," everything changed. Now, Jones had to prove that 50 didn't actually have a stake in the building. And you can't fight that battle on Instagram. You can't respond to business claims with jokes and expect it to land the same. But that's exactly what happened. Jones came back with kung fu-style videos, hitting training dummies and referencing The Last Dragon. Caption energy like Kung Fu Jim is what they call him, trying to flip the narrative and keep it light. At the same time, Maino stepped in and took a more serious route. He went on Way Up with Angela Yee and broke down their side of the story. According to him, the lease was structured for 5 years, and the individuals weren't personally responsible. It all sat under the LLC. He also claimed the eviction wasn't done properly. No court order, no sheriff, no official process. He even said the landlord changed the locks illegally, police got involved. And the crew ended up getting access back while the landlord was escorted out. Then came the walkthrough. Maino went on camera inside the studio, showing equipment, showing everything still in place, basically proving the operation wasn't completely dead. And honestly, that was probably their strongest move during all of this. Because visually, it showed they still had access, still had a setup, still had something running. But here's the problem. It didn't fix the bigger image. A walkthrough proves you can enter the building, but it doesn't erase the viral footage of your co-host kicking doors at 2 a.m. It doesn't cancel out the image of your landlord seemingly cool with your biggest rival. So even if Maino won the legal argument on camera, He lost the internet battle before he even finished speaking. The narrative was already locked in, and 50? He wasn't done at all. While all this property drama was playing out in real time, he was already setting up the next move, something way more strategic. Because instead of just staying in the business lane, he reached back into history and pulled out something heavier than any lease or paperwork. Then came the final play. March 7th, 2026, 50 Cent jumped on a track connected to Max B called No More Tricks, originally from a 2024 project, Public Domain. He flipped it, renamed it No More Tricks, No More Tries, and dropped a fresh verse going directly at the whole crew. No features, just him calling names. Jim Jones, Mano, Fabulous, and Dave East all mentioned straight up on the track. And then 3 days later, he escalated it again. On March 10th, he dropped a full AI-generated music video for the song, built by content creator, a man of .one kind. The visuals showed 50 and Max B moving through New York streets with animated scenes clearly aimed at every single co-host. At that point, this wasn't just beef anymore. This turned into a full strategy. Unfolding step by step, Jim Jones ended up being shown in what looked like an interrogation room, and that timing lined up perfectly with the line about snitching. That visual wasn't random at all. It was a direct callback to one of the longest-running accusations tied to his name, something that's followed him through multiple situations over the years. The first major moment goes back to September 2019 during Tekashi 6ix9ine federal racketeering trial in Manhattan. Tekashi 6ix9ine took the stand and claimed that Jim Jones was connected to the 9 Trey Bloods. Then prosecutors played a wiretapped phone call from November 2018, where Jones and an alleged 9 Trey leader were heard discussing what should happen to 6ix9ine for speaking publicly about gang activity. Now, to be clear, Jones was never charged or arrested in that situation. That audio was used against other defendants, not him, but still, that clip never disappeared, and that's where 50 Cent comes in. He kept that footage in rotation and has been bringing it back again and again, framing Jones's presence in that call in a way that keeps the conversation alive. The second situation hit in May 2024. A video surfaced showing Jim Jones involved in a physical situation at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. After everything calmed down, Jones spoke with responding officers and explained what happened. That alone sparked a whole new wave of reactions online. Whack 100 posted the clip and labeled Jones a rat for speaking to law enforcement, straight up calling it snitching on record. Jones pushed back on that hard, saying that explaining an incident when you're the one involved doesn't make you a snitch. And again, no charges came from that situation on any side. The third situation goes even deeper and stretches further back. It connects to long-standing rumors inside Dipset tied to Max B and his 2009 arrest and conviction on robbery and murder charges. Over time, Cameron has hinted in interviews that Jones may have been involved in events around that case. Max B himself has spoken from prison about related topics, but here's the key detail. There are no court records, no official filings, and no confirmed evidence linking Jim Jones directly to that case. He's never been formally questioned or charged in connection to it. But here's the real part that matters. It's not about what holds up legally, it's about what exists publicly. All three situations, the 6ix9ine trial, the airport footage, and the Max B rumors, are all out there, searchable, documented, circulating online. And every time 50 Cent wants to bring that conversation back, he doesn't even have to explain it. He just places Max B in a video, puts Jim Jones in an interrogation setting, and lets the audience connect the dots on their own. That's exactly what happened again in March 2026. Max B appearing in that AI video wasn't just a feature. It was a message, a reminder tied directly to those past narratives. And putting Jim Jones in that interrogation-style scene, that wasn't just visuals, that was strategy. Because once those images are out there, the conversation restarts automatically. And 50 knows exactly how to trigger that reaction without saying too much at all. I am the algorithm. Sit with that caption for a second. 50 Cent wasn't talking about being the toughest rapper or arguing over bars and flows. He was saying something way bigger. He's claiming control over how information spreads, how narratives get shaped, and who the internet decides wins in 2026. And that kind of influence hits harder than any hit record ever could. That AI video wasn't just content either. It was a straight flex of resources that Jim Jones couldn't match. 50 didn't need a director, no locations, no film crew, no long shoot days, none of that. Instead, he commissioned a fully animated, fully produced diss video that flooded every hip-hop platform within 24 hours, and it likely cost way less than a traditional video setup. While Jones was responding with phone-shot kung fu clips trying to flip the narrative, 50 was already operating on a completely different level. He used artificial intelligence to build a cinematic takedown aimed at the entire crew, and you could see the gap clearly, technically, financially, creatively, in every frame of that video. This whole situation really came full circle. Back in December 2025, Jones tried to clown 50's Netflix documentary and called it a mockumentary, but by March 2026, 50 had flipped everything. He exposed alleged unpaid rent, posted eviction paperwork with Jones's real name for the internet to run with, aligned himself with the landlord, and blasted that door-kicking footage across millions of screens. And then he took it even further. He dropped an AI-assisted diss visual featuring Max B, a name that carries weight in Jones's history, and did all of it without throwing a punch, catching a charge, or even raising his voice. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for real. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a like if you enjoyed this and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who really won this situation? Thanks for watching the channel. More wild stories and breakdowns on the way.